morning, everyone. I just decided to not hurry on my way out, and it was really hard for me. It really was. Welcome, everyone here. If you're watching us online, just a special welcome to you guys. Today is a good day. It's been a good day so far, hasn't it? I am so excited to close down this series that we've been talking about called Hurry Up and Rest. And today, I want everyone to just like settle in instead of buckle up. I feel like sometimes when Joel comes out here, you better buckle up, okay? And today, I want everyone to settle in. I'm gonna share with you guys something that, and I'm gonna sit, maybe. I'm gonna see how long I can sit. I'm gonna share with you guys something today that is extremely vulnerable in the sense that I am wrestling and I am figuring it out and going through it right now. And I am excited because this is something that I am finding. I'm gonna get a text in a minute. Take your earring off. So there I did, Ryan. Did you get that? I took my earring off. But this is something that's so impactful and just deeply profound that I'm learning in my life. And the first thing you have to understand is I'm exactly like a lot of you here in the sense that chaos just finds me all the time. Okay, my life is chaotic. Can you raise your hand if you would say, yeah, so is mine? Is anyone's life in here? Yeah, just a little bit chaotic. It seems that it doesn't matter age or life stage, that you can be older, young, or in between and still have a decent bit of chaos. And I seem to almost like chaos. Like I bring it upon myself is what I'm learning. And recently we added chaos in our family in the form of a white, fluffy, barking creature named Sugar Smith. And this right here, this picture is Sugar Smith. And I promised my husband that if we were to ever get a dog, which I said I would never get a dog, and then my kids were persistent enough that I broke down, obviously. But I got a dog. I said, well, I'm gonna make sure if I get a dog, she's cute. Okay, because I want something that's cute to look at. And as you can imagine, Sugar has brought absolute chaos into our lives. And I want to share with you guys a recent story because you guys can maybe just give me a little pity of chaos that Sugar has brought. Does anyone remember last month in May, we did an event, Party in the Parking Lot? Who was here? Anybody here? Yeah, it was an awesome event, and I kind of oversee the big picture of that event and the team that runs that event. And so Party in the Parking Lot just happened to be 7 days after we had gotten Sugar. And it also fell, this was so sweet, in my husband's longest trip being gone in his season. He's a golf coach at Ohio State. Okay, so he was gone for 5 nights. Party in the Parking Lot was occurring, and I had to take care of Sugar and my kids. I almost forgot about my 3 kids, okay? And so I had to come up like with this master plan of how I was gonna orchestrate all of this so that I can be present at my job and not kill the dog and keep my children alive. And so here was my master plan. Here's what I did. I said, okay, well, if you know anything about puppies, they have a very small window of crate time, right? I can't crate her too long. And so here was my plan. I said, I'm gonna take the kids with me in the morning to church. They're gonna come to church with me a little bit early. And then they're gonna, go to kids' church. I'm gonna make sure everything's going well here. And then I'm gonna go home in between services. I'm gonna let the dog out, okay? And have a babysitter come. And so the babysitter's gonna come. She's gonna hang out with the kids and the dog. And then I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go back to church. I'm gonna make sure Party in the Parking Lot gets going. And then once it's going, I'm gonna go back home, get my kids, put the dog back in the crate, and it's gonna be a great day. Saying that out loud, my blood pressure, it just started to rise, okay? And so this was my master plan. And so it honestly was all going fine. I created the dog. Yes, she went out before. Don't ask me that or suggest that to me after you hear the story. You know where this is going. And I come to church, and everything's going smoothly. They go to church. I go to church. Everything seems fine. I'm on my way home, and I start to get work calls, okay? Because there's a graphic, and there's things going on that are wrong. And so I'm troubleshooting on the phone and helping my team do what they need to do. And I'm sitting in the garage on my phone, and my kids have gone inside the house. And I hang up the phone with Kevin, and my kids run out to me as if they'd seen a ghost. And they say, Mom, it smells like poop in the house. And I'm like, what do you mean it smells like poop in the house? And they're like, yeah, it smells like poop. So I go inside, and you know what I'm gonna tell you. The dog, the once white, fluffy, little cute dog is covered in poop, okay? She is now brown. She somehow managed to smear this poop. This is a gross story. I should have told you that. She's managed to smear the poop on the wood floor, on the rug that's not even that close. I don't know how she did that. It's all over the crate. It's all over herself. And I look at this dog. I'm in my church clothes. I look at this dog and I'm like, Sugar, I'm gonna kill you right now. And so I take a trash bag and I put the dog in the, I'm just kidding, I didn't put her in the trash bag. I thought about it. I took a trash bag and I used it as a barrier, and I carried the dog up to the bath and I start bathing the dog. At this point, I'm sweating, okay? And I'm mad that I'm sweating. Now I'm getting wet and my phone is ringing. I'm just ignoring it. I'm yelling at the kids to get stuff. I'm scrubbing poop out of my dog, okay? I finally get her clean. Of course, the sitter is 20 minutes late. You know, when it rains, it pours. And so then the dog is now clean. She's running around the house like wet dogs do, which is such an annoying thing. And then, I'm like, well, the house still smells like poop, so I have to get the crate out of the house. This is a massive crate. And so I look at my 9-year-old daughter. Her name's Scarlett. I'm like, buddy, you got to help me get the crate outside. And she's like, I can't. And I'm like, no, we're going to. And so we pull the crate to my back patio, and the stupid thing is too big to fit out the door. And I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. Now I'm like sweating, like dripping sweat. And I'm like, okay, buddy, you got to help me. We got to get it to the front door, okay? Which is on the opposite side of the house. And so she kind of has tears in her eyes because it's so heavy. And I said, buddy, you just got to help me. So we pull the crate all the way to the front door. I've now smeared poop all along the first level of my house. And I get the crate outside. And the sitter rolls in. She's like, how's everything going? I'm like, please don't ask. And I leave, and I come back to church, and it was honestly the most calm hour of my entire day. I make sure the event is going. I go home to get my children, and I realize that there's nowhere to put the dog. I mean, I'm not gonna dare leave her unattended in my home, and so I have to bring the dog to party in the parking lot. If you saw me that day, you probably thought, aw, that's such a cute dog, and she looks so happy. No, I wasn't happy. I was dying inside by the chaos that I just told you about. Now, the entire point of the story is nothing that I've mentioned, okay? You were just supposed to laugh during that part. Here's the scary part of the story. I made time to call my husband during this chaos. And I'm just gonna say it this way. I would not have wanted to be on the receiving end of this phone call. And I called him while he's working, which is just horrible, but I was working too. And I said, hey, Brad, I just wanna tell you something. When you get home, there's not gonna be a dog anymore. I said, I am getting rid of the dog. I said, honestly, if you want to FaceTime her, I'll make a moment for that. But there will be no dog after today. Sugar Smith is being adopted by some other family. And he said, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm actually serious. I took it a step further. On the way to party in the parking lot, I told my kids, I said, hey guys, it's almost summer. Don't you guys want to have a great summer? Yeah, Mom, of course we do. Well, do you want to go to the pool? Yeah. Well, we can't. We have a dog. What about the zoo? Does that sound fun? You want to have a zoo day? Yeah, Mom, we do. Nope, no zoo day. I mean, I threatened them. I scared them. They were honestly debating, do I want to go to the zoo or do I want to keep this dog? The scary thing is I asked my husband a couple days ago, I said, did you think I was going to get rid of the dog? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And this is a funny and, absolutely ridiculous story, but it has led me to do a little digging, a little self-inventory, and I have more stories like this. I know that doesn't shock you, but what I've started to specifically try out is, why in the world do I respond that way? Like, my response in those moments, it means something, and it is really, really scary. What does it mean? And I have discovered that it is a result of the drain of busyness and fast pace and chaos and no rhythms of rest that we've been discussing in this series. And I have found that I'm not just busy or overwhelmed or have a lot on my plate, because we all do. We're all busy and we're all juggling quite a bit. I have found that I am something that's a little bit goes deeper, and it's a little more concerning, and it's this word right here. I have figured out that I am hurried. Hurried. And I'm not just hurried in my pace, although I'm very hurried in my pace. I've started to discover I'm hurried at a deeper level, honestly a little bit more concerning level, and I've self-diagnosed that I have right here a hurried soul. A hurried soul. It just got really serious, didn't it? You're like, whoa, she's talking to me about my soul. Yes, I am. Because probably some of you sitting in here today too, you probably have a hurried soul too, and you may not even quite know it. I want to introduce to you guys today, just scratch the surface, not freak you out, of this idea of a hurried soul or an unrested soul. We have made a hurried pace in our life a normal pace of life. And here's the deal, being busy, it's not a bad thing to be busy. The problem lies when we have so much to do that the only way to do all the things in our lives is by hurrying. And so today, I want us to just slow down, and I want us to ask the question right here, what is this pace of life doing to us? Really, what is it doing to us? What impact does it have? What wear and tear is being caused by this pace that not only have we normalized, but we actually praise it? What is it doing to our relationships, our spiritual lives, our souls? And most importantly, is this how we were created to be? Is this how God designed us to live in this unrestful, hurried soul space all the time? I received a book at Christmas time from my dad. He started this new tradition. He said every year he's going to give the 4 kids in my family and their spouses a book. And it's going to be a book that has impacted him the very most. And so he gave us this book right here. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. It's like he maybe knew that I was hurried or something. And I don't say this often about books, but you guys, this book right here has absolutely changed my life. It has. This book has changed my life. A lot of what I'm going to say today comes out of this book, and you should go and you should write this down and you should read it. It's easy as in how he writes it. The concepts are so intense. But this book was very jarring for me. It spoke right into my vulnerabilities and my struggles. And at the same time, it was so refreshing. It felt like someone was bringing back pieces of who I am and my soul back to life. And the idea of this book is pretty simple. It's that we're all hurried, that our souls are hurried, our world is hurried, and that God, guess what? He didn't design us to live in this state of hurried and chaos all the time. And what it will do to our human experience is, quite frankly, detrimental. And so the idea is that we have to ruthlessly eliminate hurry from our lives and figure out what that looks like, because God has a different way for us that's replenishment and it's soul care and it's really life-giving. And one thing that I'm starting to learn in my older age is to pay deep, deep attention to the things that make us emotional. The things that cause my eyes to start to have tears in them or well up, that stir my heart, because usually there's something there. And I've started to wonder if sometimes the still voice of God, if he speaks to us through our emotions. Think about that. A unique human feature that he created, he put in every single one of us. And there was this list that John Mark Comer talks about of hurried symptoms. So it's a list of these 10 words right here. And he describes this as symptoms of hurry sickness. And I started to read each of these words and then these brief descriptions: irritability and hypersensitivity and all of these things, escapist behavior, slippage of spiritual disciplines, isolation. And with each one, my eyes started to well a little bit more and the words became blurry and burn. And I started to realize that I'm not just busy with a busy schedule and a lot to do, but I have a way about me that is hurried. And it is dangerous. And I'm soul level hurried. That's what I've come to find out. And the reality is, Most of you, some of you in this room, you probably are too. And maybe you don't know quite what it is, but you feel depleted at a different level, one that the word tired doesn't seem to scratch the surface. You feel exhausted in the deepest sense. You feel maybe spiritually empty. Everything in our world, though, in our society, praises hurry and not slow. Our world is only getting faster and more rapid. If you think about the Amazon Prime generation, that's what I call my kids, right? It's just immediate. It's fast. They think we can order anything we need or want, and just in a little 48 hours, if that, it's on our doorstep. It's magic. In 2007, something came on scene that sped us up faster than we could ever imagine. It's a little device, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called the iPhone, right? How many of you have an iPhone in your pocket? Yeah, and this thing right here, oh man, no one knows how much time we've actually lost to our phones. But the average Apple user, we touch our phones over 2,617 times per day. What, just stop. What are we doing with this thing? It's been the greatest mechanism of hurry that's ever been created. John Mark Comer, the author of this book, he talks about how we should cultivate a healthy suspicion of technology, because what in the world does that do to us? What does that do to our souls? Advancements are good, but like at what cost? And maybe you hear this and you think, Carmen, be quiet. I'm highly productive. You think, I get a lot of crap done. And, you may think, what's the big deal? And I want to tell you that this idea of hurriedness and a hurried soul is a really big deal. Psychologists are now talking about an epidemic that they call hurry sickness. And it's a behavior that's characterized by continual rushing and anxiousness, hurry sickness. Even more so, John Mark Comer, he describes that hurry is a form of violence on the soul. Read those words. Hurry is a form of violence on your soul. Dallas Willard, one of the most influential theologians of our time, he said that hurry is the great enemy of our spiritual life in our day. If the devil can't make you sin, he'll just make you hurried. Because hurriedness and sin, they take on the same effect. They cut us off from people, they cut us off from God, and they cut us off from our own souls. And so hurry, you guys, it hurts relationship. Hurry hurts joy. Hurry hurts learning. Hurry hurts our marriages, our spiritual lives. Anything that takes time, hurry robs it. I think that one of the greatest desires I believe that every human has, every single one of us in this room, I believe that somewhere in our deepest places and souls, we all long for a meaningful and impactful life, right? We all long to get to the end of our day and to look back at our life and go, you know what? I did something. I lived a meaningful, impactful life. And in this book, John Ortberg, who's a great pastor, he's quoted, and he was saying something that refers to the toll that hurry has on our souls and our spiritual lives. And he said this quote, I want you to read this. He said, "For many of us, the great danger is not that we will renounce our faith. It's that we will become so distracted and rushed and preoccupied that we will settle for a mediocre version of it. We will just skim our lives instead of actually living them." I read that quote. It still has the ability to make me emotional. I read that quote and I said, oh my gosh, one of my deepest fears has to be living a life that is mediocre. Living a life that is skimmed and not felt and not lived. Living a life that I missed out because I wanted to check boxes. And so it resonated deeply with me. And I started to move towards what it means to stop hurrying. I got serious about it. I wanted to figure out what it looked like to develop rhythms of rest, to start caring about what the kind of toll my pace of life is having on me. And I found like good news, because God has a different pace for us, and it's slow, and it's caring for our souls, and it's rest. And so today, I want to invite you into this journey with me. because of how deeply profound and impacted I have been by it. And I think every human, we struggle with this, and we need to know what God has to say about it. The solution of a hurried life in which we have too many things and not enough time, it's not more time. Oftentimes we go, well, if we just had more hours in the day. Has anyone ever said that? Oh, if I just had another hour in the day, I could get such and such and such and such done. That's not the solution to an over-busy life. We don't just need more time. No, instead, we have to slow down and we have to examine the way in which we live. The way in which we live. You got to do a little self-searching and go, how do I live my life? Because the solution to a hurried soul begins by examining and looking, no surprise here, at the life and the way of Jesus. The way of Jesus. I think at times we forget that Jesus was God, but he was also fully human in nature. He was a man. He had work to do with ministry he was performing. He had daily tasks and human needs. Like maybe he wasn't all that different from you and I. And here's one thing you will note when you just look at the life of Jesus. It's that Jesus was never hurried, yet his schedule was full to the brim. In fact, there would be pressing matters like when one of his great friends, Lazarus, was on his deathbed, quite literally. Jesus took 2 days before he left. He had practices, he had a way, he had rhythms. Jesus would regularly, he would go off by himself, he would be alone, he would collect his thoughts with God. We read in the scriptures how he would take long meals, he would sit around a table with friends and great food. We see how he would practice the idea of Sabbath. His life displayed an unhurried pace where his relationship with God and with people was central. And then he turns to you and I after showing us a way to live. And guess what he says to you and I? He says, follow me. If I'm being honest, brutally honest, I think sometimes, me included, we are too busy and we're too rushed to follow Jesus. We really are. I was thinking about this. Our spiritual habits, the things that we do over and over again, typically when we get busy, they are the first thing to go instead of our first go-to. We don't make time to do things that are central to following Jesus, because following Jesus is something you do. It is a practice. It's a way of living as much as it is claiming faith in a person. You gotta move, you gotta do, you gotta act. And the incredible thing is that Jesus, he offers us access to his way of living. And in Matthew 11, 28 through 29, Jesus is speaking. And he describes this. Look at these words he says. You may have heard them before. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you, what does he say there? Rest. Rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find, there it is again, rest for your what? Souls. A yoke is how you shoulder a load. A farmer would have 2 oxen yoked together to pull something heavy. In the time of Jesus, the idea of a yoke was a common idiom in the first century, and it referred to a rabbi, which Jesus was, or a teacher, which Jesus also was. It referred to their way of how to live life. Okay, their yoke was a set of teachings that they would instruct their followers on how to be human. It was advice on how you should shoulder the load of life and pressure and demands. In other words, it was kind of like their prescribed way. And so in Jesus, in Matthew 11, he tells his followers to take his yoke. You have to understand this. He says, take my yoke, adopt my ways, adopt my lifestyle. Another translation says, walk with me, work with me, watch how I do it. And what does he promise if we do this? Take my yoke upon you, and what will happen? He says, you will find rest for your what? Souls. Our souls need the Jesus way, not the hurried way. Our souls need the Jesus way, not the hurried way. Jesus, he models and then he offers us a way that brings us back to be able to feel our souls, to live the life that we were designed to live. And the secret to rest and soul care that honestly I'd kind of been missing, it lies in truly and holistically looking at the lifestyle of Jesus, the way he lived, not just the words he said, but to look at his overall lifestyle as a guide for my everyday lifestyle. The question to ask is really do some self-inventory. Does the person of Jesus shape your rhythms and routines? That's kind of an odd question, is it? Does the life of Jesus, the way of Jesus, does it shape your rhythms and routines? Maybe some of you, maybe there's a single mom in here and you go, Carmen, no offense, but I don't know if Jesus knows much about being a single mom. I don't really know if he knows much about being a young professional. He has no idea how demanding my job is. And in a humble manner, I would tell all of you that Jesus knows exactly what's on your plate and he cares for you and what's on it more than you can comprehend. Who are we to think that the rhythms and the routines of Jesus aren't the very best for us? I think that we're gonna miss out on experiencing life and rest if we don't adopt the ways of Jesus. John Mark Comer notes how one of the greatest tragedies he's seen in the Western Christian church right now is the de-emphasizing of the way of Jesus as a lifestyle. And so if the results in your life, if any bit of this, you go, yeah, I'm hurried, I'm worn down, I'm soul level exhausted, I'm stressed out, I experience burnout, then you have to look at the rhythms and the habits in your life, and you have to start to consider adopting the way of Jesus. Because the really amazing thing is that the yoke, the way of Jesus, it's his way of giving us equipment to shoulder the pressures and the weight of life. This is the best thing. Jesus doesn't look at us and say, hey, you know what? You should just escape. You should give up. Here's my suggestion. Go numb yourself. Go watch hours of Netflix. Do it to the point where you can't feel anything and you wake up and you just manage life and then you do that all over again. No, Jesus does not say that I'm gonna give you an escape route. You know what he says? He says, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna equip you. And the way that I'm gonna equip you is I'm gonna give you a model of a way of living. About a year ago, embarrassingly enough, I started something called CrossFit. And I'm embarrassed to say that because I have made fun of people who do CrossFit. And now I do it. And CrossFit is extremely humbling because you go into it and you literally have no idea what it is. There's all these moves. I literally was like, is there a dictionary just to understand what a clean jerk, power clean, snatch, muscle snatch, double under? I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. And so it's very humbling. And the other thing about CrossFit is it's somewhat addicting because there's all these moves that are in workouts. And if you don't know how to do these moves, then you can't do the workouts or you have to scale them. And so there was one move that I said, I'm gonna learn how to do. And it was the stinking pull-up. Okay? Now, some of you in here are like, okay, well, I can do pull-ups all day. Well, I can't. So I decided that I was gonna make a 6-month goal of doing a pull-up. And so I would go in before and after class, and I would do these pull-up drills that my husband so kindly wrote up for me. And I was determined, and I kept doing them and getting frustrated because I couldn't do a pull-up. And I went home one day, and I was like, dude, I'm just gonna be okay with it. I'm gonna be at peace with doing ring rows or some other modification my whole life. I don't need to really do a pull-up. And he said, Carmen, you need to buy some equipment. And I was like, I'm not gonna be that CrossFit person. He's like, no, you really do. And so he said, you need to buy grips. And these are grips right here. And you tie them around your wrist and you put them on your hand because this is what continually was happening to me without grips. Look at that. I was ripping my hands off, basically. And he said, you don't need to just give up on pull-ups. You gotta get equipment so your hands quit ripping. And guess what? The pull-up didn't get any easier. It didn't get easier. It's just now I wasn't ripping my hands off every single time. And Jesus, it's the exact same thing. He looks at us and he goes, hey, guess what? There's a way to get through life. I'm not saying that life's gonna be easier if you follow me, but I'm gonna equip you. You don't have to keep tearing your hands and ripping your soul and walking around hurried and with no rest and no rhythms. I have a way. It's my equipment, and you are gonna experience life if you take it. And so that is what I started to do. I have started to equip myself with the way of Jesus. And you guys, I have found something crazy. Crazy is what I've learned and experienced. If we look at the practices of Jesus, there are several things he did that I think can impact us so radically. And John Mark Comer, at the end of this book, he goes over 4 ways to unhurry your soul. And they're influenced by the person of Jesus. And there's a lot of different spiritual habits and practices, and you should go Google them, but he focuses on 4. And then I'm gonna hone in on 1 today, okay, as I close down. And the 4 that he talks about are silence and solitude. Just do inventory. When was the last time you were alone and you were quiet? Has it been a while? The other one is the idea of slowing. That just our general pace, we're addicted to just being fast and frenzied all the time, slowing. The third one is simplicity. How do we simplify our lives so that our souls live in a state of rest more often? And then the last one is Sabbath. And I decided that I was gonna go all out. And so I picked one of these habits, and I have to tell you guys, I'm still grappling with the profound effect it had on me. Seriously, I still am. And I'm also, I'm grappling with some of the regret I feel that I had lived my Christian life for this many years without practicing this. And the practice that I decided to move towards was this idea of Sabbath, a day of rest. I almost titled this message, Something I Did That I Never Knew How Much I Was Missing. We live in a culture where Sabbath, a day of rest, it actually used to be somewhat of a natural rhythm, and it was Sunday. Remember when stores were closed on Sundays? And it was a stop. And that's kind of faded away as hurry has hurried in. John Mark Comer, he talks about as that has happened, we lost more than a day of rest. We lost a day for our souls to open up to God. And the word Sabbath comes from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which means to stop. As Bryce mentioned last week, the story of creation, we see the story of creation, guess what? It was not deemed complete by the God of the universe until rest was included. If you go, well, I need a reason to rest, there you go, the God of the universe, okay, who created every single thing you see and every person you see, he said that creation was not complete without rest. If that doesn't give you enough reason to rest, then I don't know what will. And so Sabbath is a day where we stop consuming, and we stop working, we stop worrying, we stop hurrying, we just stop. And it's also cool because Shabbat has dual meaning, and it also means to delight. And so God, you see on day 7, not only did he stop and rested, but what did he do? He looked at creation and he reveled in it. He was like, this is incredible. He celebrated what he did. And so the idea is that we take a day where we acknowledge what God has given us. We say it's enough and we worship him. It must be said, this is very important as I've learned, Sabbath is much different than your day off. Because on your day off, guess what you do? You do everything you didn't do when you're at work. You do laundry and you do chores and you do errands and you run around like a chicken with your head cut off. You're taking your kids places if you're in that phase. You don't rest on your day off. So that needs to be said. Sabbath is much different. John Mark Comer, he suggests this grid that every activity that is deemed Sabbath worthy, you have to take it through these 2 questions. And I love these so much. Check these out. You have to ask this, is this activity rest and worship? And does it give me a sense of joy? A deep sense of joy. And so it's not Sabbath if it doesn't answer yes to those, okay? And so I called my husband a few weeks ago and I said, hey, I'm reading this book and it's absolutely wrecking me. And I said, so guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna take an entire Sabbath day and we're gonna Sabbath. And he literally was like, good one. And I'm like, no, Brad, we're really gonna do it, okay? And so we did. We took an entire Saturday and we Sabbathed. And by all means, I do not have anything really figured out. The only thing I have figured out is really one thing, and it's that my soul craves the act of Sabbath. Literally. I find a deep craving inside of me to rest and to stop and to delight in what God has given me. Today, I'm gonna challenge you guys to Sabbath, and this might sound so unrealistic to take an entire day and Sabbath. And so here's my cue for the day is to start somewhere. Start somewhere. Maybe Sabbath for you is just an evening a week where you stop the noise. Maybe Sabbath is one Saturday a month, one Sunday a month. Maybe it's an afternoon. But I want you guys to try to start somewhere. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you guys through my day of Sabbath. I'm just gonna share with you guys for the next couple minutes what I did and what I learned. The first thing I learned is preparation is key. You have to prepare like it's like the one thing you're gonna do in life, okay? And so we went crazy. We prepared like it was a holiday. We prepped and cleaned our house. We bought amazing food. We cleared our schedules. We worked so hard so there was no distractions. I put laundry baskets away. I didn't want to see anything that I might need to do. We didn't go to my daughter's soccer game. Like, we didn't go on purpose. We said we weren't coming. I know to some of you that sounds horrible. She was thrilled, okay? Which is concerning. But we canceled the soccer game. We cleared our schedules. We had 0 plans on the calendar. We used the term Sabbath. This was very important, very crucial. The night before, we sat our kids down and we told them what Sabbath was and that we were gonna have a day of Sabbath, and they started to use the word Sabbath. They say Sabbath, though, with F's. And it was very crucial because they started to realize that this is something very unique and special. This is not just Saturday. No, this is Sabbath. We went over the rules of Sabbath. The idea is to take out noise and hurry in your life for a day. And so this looks a lot different for everybody, but again, I'm gonna give you what I did. Here's our rules. No social media. We stopped it. That was probably the best thing I did, honestly. Get it out, no social media. What, does that bring you rest and joy? Probably not if you are critical of it. No social media, no technology. We didn't turn the TV on, none of it, no noise. Nothing that was work, no checking emails, no phone calls, no consumerism. We purposely did not make any purchases. Why? Because we settled with the idea that what we have is enough. Like we have, every cabinet and every closet, if it's like your house, it's full, isn't it? We have enough, and we settled in that for the day. We ate whatever we wanted, and we took that serious. We only did things that brought us rest and joy and worship, and we purposefully noticed and talked about God in every moment. And so we woke up, and my kids said they felt like it was Christmas. They were so excited. We made a big deal out of this. We sat outside and I read them a Sabbath prayer, and then my 9-year-old daughter, she has this little journal. It's called Indescribable by Louis Giglio. It's really cool for a kid's journal. And she wanted me to read a page, and she's obsessed with space and astronauts. That's what she wants to be when she gets older. Dream big, right? And so she found this astronaut page, and I read this journal. And I love how God works because things are just not coincidental at times. You go, no, that's the voice of God. And this day, I read this journal, and the journal entry was all about how astronauts, in order to sleep in space, I didn't even know this, my mind was blown, they have to be tied to their bed in order to rest. Because gravity, no gravity. So what do? You can't sleep floating. No, you gotta be tied to your bed to rest. And I love that because the idea is the same for us. Do you wanna experience rest? Guess what? You gotta tie yourself to the person of Jesus. That's it. That's the only way your soul is gonna get the rest it needs. And so I went the whole day being tied to Jesus. That's what we did. And so we sat outside and we didn't rush. And we noticed everything. We just looked at creation. We talked about the annoying little cricket thing and the birds and the sky and how beautiful it was. And I drank coffee really slowly, and I just sat, and I didn't rush, and I didn't hurry. And I know that sounds simple, but I never do that. I mean, I always have somewhere to be. And I just sat. I had some of the most meaningful conversations with my kids just because I took time to do it. I went and worked out. For many of you, you would be like, that's the first thing to go. But it brings me rest. It brings me a lot of joy. And so I went and worked out, but I just didn't push my body. I didn't do as much weight as maybe I normally would or run as fast. I just chilled, and it was really fun for me. We went to Fox in the Snow, and we sat outside, and we ate whatever we wanted. Like, we ate egg sandwiches, and if you want to experience God, you should go to Fox in the Snow, and you should eat an egg sandwich. Because I'm serious, you will worship God when you taste how good this thing is. And that's what we did, and we talked about how good it was. We ate our way through Sabbath. That's what we did. We rode in the car with great music and windows down. My son's favorite song right now it's called Good Day by 21 Pilots. It talks about how it's a good day. And so we blared that, and we put our windows down. We put our hand out the window. When was the last time you put your hand out the window? You should go do it today. It's so joyful. It's literally an act of joy to your soul. And then he started to ask me questions about why the air feels a certain way when he's standing versus when he's putting his hand out the window. And I said, I don't know. You're gonna have to Google that, or we're gonna talk to God about it, because I don't know, buddy, but it's really cool, isn't it? We played outside. We went to the pool with no rush, nowhere to be. We went on a walk and in a park, and we found a dad. His name is Aaron. I learned his name and his son and his parents, and we talked to them for a while. I mean, I got to know a little bit of his story and why he moved here. He had a Michigan hat on, so I just loved him off the bat. You know, I don't do that anymore. I don't stop and talk to people, right? I'm so rushed. If I'm at the park, I don't have time to talk to anybody. My kids are gonna play for 30 minutes. We gotta go. It was so life-giving for me just to talk to a complete stranger and be reminded how beautiful humans are. We napped and read a ton. We cooked an incredible meal. We drank really good wine. We didn't rush while we were preparing or eating. We just sat around the table. My kids were so helpful and so happy. And about halfway through the day, it's like my soul started to be dusted off. I felt free. I felt light. I really did. And I had this deep level of contentment that words fail to describe. We had a little worship party where my kids were just singing songs about God. If you want to fill up your heart, just go do that. And we went to bed that night. Honestly, I was shocked. I was shook to reach the other generation. I was shook by the way my soul felt. I felt a closeness with God that I'm telling you guys, I haven't felt in a really long time. I encountered not just another Saturday, I encountered a day, dare I call holy and sacred. I encountered a day that I quite literally recovered pieces of my soul. And so here's what I learned. Social media, you need to consume it in small doses. That faces are always better than screens. Always better than screens. And that you and we get to parent the technology in our home. We get to say no. We get to put it to bed. We get to say we're not gonna turn you on today. That's what we get to do with the technology in our home. I was reminded that God is everywhere, and it's our choice to notice him and to call out the goodness of God. If you look around, he is everywhere. Oh, he's in a great egg sandwich. He's in a car ride with the windows down. He's in a laughter. He's in a jump into a pool. He's everywhere. And if you don't notice the person of God, it's because your eyes are not looking for it and your soul's not searching. what was almost more surprising to me was how impacted I was the days to follow. I felt like a different human being. I really did. I felt the next day and the next day that something unique happened, something hit different. And Monday morning on the way to take my little boy with me, he's 4, and he said, Mama, I love Sabbath because I got to spend time with the people I love, and I love you. He associated that day with just me being present. And so the next few days, I was living off the Sabbath. I was living off the ways of Jesus and being tied to him. And I was living off a nourished soul, and I felt something different. And so here's what I want to do. I'm going to close this down, and I want to challenge you guys in the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I want you to Sabbath. Maybe it's just a day. Maybe it's an evening, but I want you to take a step, because I promise you, you guys, you may not know what you're missing until you do it. And there is great beauty in starting to figure out how to nourish your hurried soul. I promise you, God wants it for us. God really, really wants it for us. Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much, God, for just this beautiful idea of rest that you created. And God, you want us to live in that space, and you're right there with us. You offer us rest, and you modeled a life of rest. And God, would you help us do it? Would you help us to realize that our souls are hurried, that God, we have a problem, and that you have a pace that is so slow and it's so beautiful. And you want to usher us into that. And God, I just pray that we would take a step towards that. We would acknowledge our great need for your pace and your rhythms and the beauty and life that you bring, God. Help us to do that. Help us to understand that rest is in you. It's in you as a person, and it's in your way. And help us live that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We're going to close this service with a song. And it's called Quiet. And the idea is to sit and be quiet. And guess who's with you oftentimes in the quiet? The person of God. And so they're going to sing this with us right now. Just have a seat and sing out these words to yourself. Here we go.
My mind racing, and I can't seem to win all these crazy thoughts and feelings. It's like it never ends until your voice breaks through my noise. And I know I'm not alone, not alone. You will fight my battles if I will just be still. When you're right here, I'll just be quiet and let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. I don't need to know what comes next. Tomorrow's in your hands. I can trust you with my future, 'cause you're already there. I hear your voice call me forward, and I know I'm not alone, not alone. Away with the distractions, I wanna hear what's true. The only words that matter, they come from you. So I'll just be quiet and let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. Oh, I'll just be still in your presence. Oh, I'll just be still in your presence, God, 'cause I wanna hear you. I don't wanna hear anybody else. Quiet, God, you're here in the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet, so I'll just be quiet. Oh God, you're here in the silence. You are, so here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet.
I want to encourage you to Sabbath. Really try it, okay? Give it a try and see what God does. I want to remind everyone that next week we will have no Sunday gathering. It's Sunday, July 4th, and we're going to take that off. So enjoy time with your friends and your family, and we'll see you guys back on July 11th. Have a great day. Happy Sunday, guys.
Wherever I go, you're the one